Heyo, I'm Christie Rocha, podcast host and content creator, and I am thrilled to welcome you to The Inner Edit. This podcast is all about us, the creators, the storytellers, visionaries, navigating the ever-changing online world. We are in this together, facing challenges unique to our craft, like burnout, setting boundaries, dealing with negativity, and that oh-so-familiar imposter syndrome. Join me as I chat with fellow creators, therapists, and coaches to explore collaborations, making connections, diving into creating conscious content, figuring out how to maximize our content output, and discovering that mindset magic that keeps us going. Whether you're a content creator seeking resources or just curious about the behind-the-scenes world of digital creators, The Inner Edit is your resource for personal and professional growth in the digital world. We're all going through the same things, so let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe button and welcome to The Inner Edit. Hello. Oh my goodness, do I have a great show for you today. I'm joined by Rachael Bozsik Johanson, a luxury strategist for female entrepreneurs. And if you're like me, I was initially thinking, what exactly is a luxury strategist? I truly was not sure. But as Rachael started painting the picture, it all started to make perfect sense. And I know that so many of you out there are going to benefit from this conversation. If you're finding yourself welcoming projects, partnerships, taking on a lot of work and collaborations, working with a ton of brands, and you're feeling overwhelmed and starting to get down on yourself, you might be exactly the type of person who will benefit from what Rachael is sharing today. She's telling us how we can move from more stuff at lower value to less stuff at higher value and eliminate the overwhelm. I mentioned at the end of this interview that I'm looking forward to seeing Rachael in person, and that has happened. We were together at LuAnn Live, and holy crap, this woman blew my mind with her presentation. It was so incredible. The one aha moment that stuck out for me most was when Rachael was addressing interior designers and saying that, if a client or potential client has a conversation with you or goes to your website or goes to wherever you're marketing and walks away from that interaction going, wow, she does nice work and she's a nice person, we've made a mistake. We have not shared enough about ourselves. We have not differentiated ourselves enough. Like, this is Rachael's zone of genius. Oh, it's so good. I'm now, I think we're going to have to bring Rachael back because now that I've watched her presentation in person, I have thousands of more questions to ask her. But in the meantime, we're going to hear from Rachael today about transitioning your service-based brand, business, or content towards the luxury market. She's also going to let us in on some personal strategies that she uses to keep her and her business and her content fresh. All right, here she is. Hey, Rachael. So nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
I'm excited to be here and spending my morning with you.
Yes.
Latte in hand.
I know, just a nice little kickstart to the day.
It is.
All right. So you are a luxury strategist. Will you tell me what that means?
Yeah. So I work with women, only women, that run service-based brands in the luxury market. So
Okay.
my clients are top interior designers, they're wedding planners, they're photographers, they're top florists. And I help them go from like a bajillion projects a year, right? Like 20, 30 projects a year to a true luxury specialist where maybe they're doing 7 projects a year, 10 projects a year, being paid top dollar. So my big transition is from taking them from a ton of projects, like high volume projects, lower income on each one, to less volume, higher paying. And it's
Okay.
all in the luxury positioning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so tell someone who's hearing this for the first time, like this is like brand new information. What I like spell it out. What is the benefit of that transition? What are your clients getting out of it?
Yeah. So a lot of clients come to me in a position where they feel totally burnt out.
Okay.
They have so much overhead. They have a ton of team members. They're trying to churn out 30, 40 projects a year. And they're like, I am freaking exhausted, like exhausted. I'm filled to the brim professionally. I'm filled to the brim personally. The large majority of my clients are mothers.
Mhm.
And they're like, listen, like with these smaller projects, I'm not able to show my true creative self, right? Like I'm restricted on budget, I'm restricted on timelines, I'm restricted with the client's expectations, right? So they come to me in a position totally burnt out and they say, I want less clients, I want more money. How do I do it? What does that look like? It's number one, to support them to work with less clients, right? Taking like things off their plate. It also puts them in a position where they have full, I'm not going to say full, but they have like more creative reign because they have larger budgets to play with, which in many cases just lights them up in terms of like inspiration and purpose and connecting to all the things of why they got in the industry to start with.
Mhm. Mhm. When how do I want to phrase this question? I want to get at the this luxury aspect.
Mm.
Do you think I don't know, this is like I don't know how to I'm gonna ask it and you're gonna tell me how the question is faulted and fix it. But
Okay, we'll figure
but
it out. Yeah,
but
yeah.
basically what I want to get at is do you think that anyone that wants to can make this transition or are there aspects to a person or a business or a brand that make it suitable for that transition? Do you know what I'm
Okay, I
saying?
think I got it. I'm going to do my best to let's see. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like, who is this right for? When is it right for someone? Can everyone do this? Did I get that?
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you for that translation.
Okay, so I think that
I
this is my
think
philosophy, right? Yeah,
well,
go
let
ahead.
me let me just say one more thing before you go there. I think where I was getting tripped up is that I do think that there are plenty of people out there who don't want that transition, who don't want to be a
Totally.
luxury
Yeah,
brand.
yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's where I was like trying to marry my thoughts of like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not everyone wants this, but
Right.
like yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Now go.
yeah, good point. Yeah, that's where I was going to start. So there's really like in my view, there's two camps, right? There in terms of running a service-based business. There's the camp of like high volume and lower ticket. So let's just use interior designers,
Mhm,
right? Like churning out, 20, 30 projects a
mhm,
year. Or maybe they're doing like 500 e-design projects, or they're trying to sell 5 billion rolls of wallpaper, whatever it is, right?
mhm.
That and they want to churn out high volume, low ticket. That is
Okay.
a great, 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 great option. And you can make great money doing so.
Mhm,
In that space, you're really a digital marketer in many cases,
mhm,
right? It's your job. If you're trying to sell a bajillion rolls of wallpaper or e-design, you better believe you have a big newsletter list,
mhm,
right? You're posting on social, swipe up, like to know, all the thingies, which
mhm,
is great.
mhm.
My former business was in that space. Okay. The other camp is just a different camp in the luxury market,
Okay.
meaning it's high, high, high touch,
Mhm,
super concierge level service.
mhm.
And because it's so high touch, you can only work with a handful of clients
Okay.
at a given time. So, for example, I have a package and it's called my brand launch weekend package. And I work with 4 women a year on it. And I truly become their extra business partner.
Mhm.
I write their entire business plan, like 30 pages of notes.
Wow.
I do their headshots for them. I style them. I write every word of copy on their website.
Mhm,
I design the dang website.
mhm,
Not myself, but my team designs it, right? I'm not a website designer. I
mhm.
wish. I write the sales call scripts. I do marketing packets. Like I touch everything. So
Yeah.
because it's so high touch, I can't churn out 5,000 of those
Right.
a year.
Okay.
It's just a different market. There are two different camps. There are two different strategies. You can make great money doing both. For me, when I made the transition years ago to step into the luxury market of less clients, more money, like higher ticket,
Mhm.
right? I felt burnt out from market number one.
Yeah.
I became the manager of a bunch of people.
Mhm,
We were working on newsletters, we were working on like digital ads and like boosting posts. This is
mhm.
more back in the day of Facebook, right? Like less
Mhm.
Instagram. And I just felt depleted and exhausted. And I was missing the one-on-one connection.
Yeah.
So that's why I made the transition.
Yeah.
Now, to answer, I think your next note of like, can anyone do it? Like, should you want it? Can anyone do it? I think that there needs to be a conversation around this idea of like luxury is different in every market and in
Mm-hmm.
different areas, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like what some of my clients might be considering luxury in Miami is super different than you might be considering luxury in a small town,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So different markets, different expectations, and different levels of luxury. I have some clients that, we are going after budgets that there is no budget,
Right.
right? It's like whatever they want. It's unlimited furnishing spends. We're going after seven-figure furnishing spends. I have some clients, or like it's seven-figure weddings, right? For my wedding
Right.
planning clients. I have some clients in luxury market where like, in their market, having a three-room minimum or having a spend of, I don't know, $600 a head, $500 a head at a wedding, like would be luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Every market is different, but where I come in is like helping a woman identify what her market looks like, who her ideal client is, and getting her prepared as the top 3% in her arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that help
That's
answer that?
perfect. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Thank you. And I
Yeah.
was going to then go there. Like, what are some of the ways that someone would start to identify what their market is and what they want it to be?
Yeah. So a lot of work that I do with my clients is helping them identify of like, well, what does this dream look like for them?
Mm,
I have some clients that are like, listen, my kiddos are getting older and and they come home for summers, and this is like the last summer I'm going to have them. And
mhm,
I want to be able to take summers off or whatever that looks like for them, right?
mhm,
So we identify first, like, what does the big dream look like? What does success look like to them?
mhm.
Everyone has a different version of what success looks like to them.
Right.
And then I say, okay, let's go and map this and work backwards. If you're telling me that you want to make X, Y, and Z, right? You want to make $4 million a year, whatever it is, in gross, and you want to take summers off or whatever it is, how many projects does this mean that we need?
Mm,
What's the budget of each project? And then how do we identify? How do we go after them?
hmm,
So I'm always thinking about things with strategy in mind because a large majority of my clients come to me in a position where they're being really reactive in their business. So what I mean by that is like they get an inquiry and they're like, oh, I don't like it's not ideal, but like I guess I could do it. Or
yeah.
they're like so overwhelmed, they're like, crap, I need to hire team members, right? And it's like incredibly reactive. And for the first time in a long, long time, we sit down together and we think about being proactive.
Mm,
What do we want? Who is your ideal client? How would you ideally work with them? Okay, you want to like go get cocktails with your team every Tuesday or whatever it is. Like, how does this ideally look? And then how do we work backwards to achieve it?
yeah. Yeah. I think it's so easy to get caught up in the day to day. It's so
Mm,
overwhelming, whether it be your business, your
yeah.
personal life, and usually both,
Yeah.
that to stop and reevaluate. Because I think too, just from my personal experience, where I know that I get tripped up is when I don't take the time to notice when that dream, when that vision changes, because it's
Yeah.
different.
Right.
It's different. Like, as you were saying, like, as my kids get older, things change, like, their needs change,
Sure.
my availability changes, like, I think if I pull the scope really far out, there's, like, the really, really big vision that is very much the same, but it's kinda like
Mm.
that inner level. No one can see me right now, but, like the onion
She has her
level
arms
in
swaying in the
my
air, you guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that next level of like what maybe the next year looks like or
Mm.
5 years looks like, it changes.
It changes. It
Yeah.
does. You know what's one of my favorite things that I do every year? And I've only been doing this for 5 or 6 years, but I look forward to it. I do a year in review for
Mm,
myself. And this is like 25 pages of notes.
wow.
I like go to the spa and I like sit there and I write down and I have all these like prompts of like, what did I learn this year? What
Mm,
was the top project that excited me most? What was my favorite day on a personal level? Right. And I just like do this whole evaluation of like, what did this past year look like? And then I look for trends in it. So
mm,
like years ago, I remember this. I was thinking about like, when did I feel most inspired?
mm,
And I'm a designer by trade. I don't practice, but I went to school for it. And I remember looking at my notes and being like, wow, I felt most inspired and I did my best work in really, really beautiful environments. Like, duh, right? If I thought about it that way, but like I hadn't articulated it like that.
Yeah.
And I realized it was like when I was doing truly, like when I was doing my emails and client notes and like beautiful hotel lobbies, like that's when I felt my best. So when I thought about the year looking ahead, this must have been like, I don't even know, 2016, 2017, I thought, okay, well, how do I want to coach and where do I want to coach? So then I made the transition that I host my clients in beautiful luxury hotels.
Interesting.
So now, you know what I mean? So I like
Yep.
did this evaluation, I saw the common themes, and then I made adjustments moving forward based off of the themes that I saw. And like still to this day, my clients come to me in Charleston, South Carolina. I put them up in a 5-star hotel. We work in a beautiful hotel suite,
Hmm.
right? And we like sit on velvet and we have chandeliers and like we do brilliant work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that was all intentionally done. And to your point, like it transitions.
Yeah.
It transitions.
Yeah.
So just I think looking out for those trends. I do it every year, but then I've started doing it every 6 months or so now, just
Yeah.
to because life moves fast,
Yeah.
right? And then sometimes
Yeah.
it's hard to like be like, what's going on? How do I actually feel
Yeah.
versus what's on the to-do list?
Totally. Yes, I love that. I love the year in review.
Mm.
What if you recall the first time you did it, what inspired it or what gave you the idea to do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't remember like the exact spark of the idea, but I'm like a psycho journaler. I have
Okay.
like, I'm kid you not, I have like a trunk of old journals. So, and I'm constantly walking around. I have like a Kindle Scribe. So it's like kind of like a Remarkable or iPad where you take notes.
Mhm.
I have it in my bag all the time. I'm constantly writing down ideas. It's just like how I communicate. I'm like, I have to write it. So I must have felt,
Yeah,
that I wanted to kind of capture the full year and
that's
take
cool.
time to reflect. So I'm sure it was something like that.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. That's very cool. All right. So now take me to the next step. Like someone's identified who they are, what their dream is, what they want their business to look like, their ideal client like, and then you use the words like, then we go get it. Like, what is going and get it entail?
Yeah, good question. Did I say that? I probably did.
I think so.
You go get it. I love that. Okay. Um, so there's a few different pieces of this, right? So if we've identified who she wants in the luxury market, the types of projects, the types of budgets, the types of services she wants to offer, now the second piece of this is like, well, how do we make sure that she's the right fit?
Mm,
Right? Like we can want the ideal client all day, every day. We can feel totally capable of doing it and all the things. But at the end of the day, like, how are you going to make the sales, right? Like, what does that look like? Like, how are you marketing yourself?
mhm.
And all of my work is exclusively with personal brands.
Okay.
So people aren't coming to me trying to market a pillow company or a restaurant opening or any of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
It's women offering service-based or women with businesses that are service based,
Okay.
right? So I truly, truly believe that in the luxury market, right, high ticket, people are buying you first
Mm,
and your portfolio second. I was like recently quoted an AD saying that, and I like deeply, deeply believe it. They're buying you first and your portfolio second. Okay,
mm,
so if we know that to be the case, because they're selling a relationship, you're
mhm,
selling the service, you're selling you, you're selling your trust, your ability to connect, to make them feel safe, we need to market the woman.
mhm.
So this is like a 12-part kind of step that I do with my clients.
Casual.
And not to go through the whole thing, but
No,
like
give
once
us the
again,
highlights.
I'm not working with a ton of women. So it is like extensive intake forms. It's
Okay.
like me looking at her past experience. It's me identifying her dream market. And I did a podcast with your mom, and it was about this idea of like finding someone's gold and remarketing it.
Mm,
So I do a lot of work where I'm looking under the hood, where I'm like, what do you have that makes you interesting to your ideal client?
mhm,
Okay, cool. Like beyond your education, like you actually worked at this firm when you were, 22 years old and you worked on the coolest project ever.
mhm,
And it was 100,000 square foot, making this up, right? Like
mhm,
commercial space. And because of that, you know construction inside and out.
mm,
And now you're bringing it to a residential level. Like that's a little nugget. That's a piece of gold that we can remarket.
mhm.
A lot of my clients are like sitting on this gold.
Yeah.
Maybe they worked in corporate for 15 years. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, but this makes you like really great with budgets and team management. And now you're bringing it to the residential project.
Yeah.
But we got to dig through this pot of past experience
Yeah.
of unique things about them and their family in order to find that to market it.
We underestimate ourselves a lot when we look at that,
Do.
right? So you
We
kind of need
do.
someone else sometimes to look at it and go, wait a minute, like this is a big deal. This is helpful.
Yeah.
Someone on the outside looking in is going to really value this about you. But we underestimate it. And I think we just, I sometimes find like I forget my own
Mm.
experiences sometimes until I'm questioned about it. And I go, oh, yeah, that really was impactful, or that really, I learned something there.
Yeah, I remember in my previous business, we actually got t-shirts, and I haven't thought about this in a long time till right now, that said women underestimate their abilities and men overestimate theirs, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the truth? And I
Yeah.
work with women all day, every day, and I think they underestimate it. They don't find it valuable, or they know it's important, but they feel scared to bring
Hmm.
it up to say, oh, I won this award, or I, had my work featured in this press because they're worried it's going to come across as bragging.
Hmm.
And I always remind my clients, like in the luxury market, they are buying you. So
Yeah.
it's your ability to make someone feel safe with you. So you telling them that you worked on a 100,000 square foot commercial project makes them feel safe with you. You
Mm.
telling them that you were, I don't know, had a project in El Decor makes them feel safe with you,
Yeah.
that you work with top level CEOs like them and understand their lifestyle. That makes them feel safe with you. So there's real like an art and science to self promotion that I do with my clients because I never want them to come across as, being so ego focused. Like, absolutely not. But at the end of the day, their ideal consumer is buying them.
Yeah.
So if they're not mentioning it, they're doing a disservice to the client.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting. I've not heard it said before where you are making someone feel safe. And I
Mm,
think that that is a really, really like, I want to say awesome, but it's like, whatever, awesome. It's just, it really grabs it because I think about anytime I have made like a big purchase or,
mm,
like buying a home, like even if I just think about it like that, like I have a relationship with our realtor. And if
yep.
she says, XYZ, I need this from you, and this is not a great deal, and this and that, like, I
Mm-hmm.
trust her so
Mm-hmm.
much. And when I'm not in a position to have like a no budget thing, but I can only
Mm-hmm.
imagine how many people are so quick to try to take advantage of a person in that position. And so to make someone really feel safe with your experience, your knowledge, and just who you are as a person beyond this brand, I want to say,
Totally.
you got to know the person too, which is
A hundred percent.
it's such a good point.
And
Yeah.
I think the big key here is that a lot of people try to like mention awards or podcasts they've been on or this or all these credentials from their university. Like when I look at bios, right? Like I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time writing client bios or looking at their website and auditing it. I oftentimes see them mentioning, I'm gonna call them kind of like these external stamps of approval, their
Mhm.
education, these industry boards, whatever it is. But like you have to remember, and like one of the big things we do is like, who's your ideal client? And like, is that important to them? Your
Yeah.
ideal client doesn't know what X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah construction
Right.
award is. So
Right.
why mention it? Where like
Right.
there's a huge chunk of my clients that are interior designers. So like I mention, like I'm a trained designer. I went to High Point University. But if my ideal client was in the tech industry, right?
Right.
Don't mention that.
Right.
Right? Don't mention that.
Right.
You
Right.
gotta figure out two pieces, right? One, who's the ideal client? What's important to them? Two, what do you have in your pot,
Mhm.
right? That would make them feel safe that you're the right fit.
Mhm.
So, for example, like I have a client's brand I'm working on right now, and her ideal client, they are international and they're moving to California and they're relocating,
Mhm.
right? And she's near a big tech hub area, right? And they're purchasing properties. They're brought in as C-suite executives overseas. Okay, so that's the ideal client. So what makes them feel safe? Yeah, not that she won X, Y, and Z award for California. These people are coming over overseas. They have no idea what that is.
Right.
But something that we're doing some digging on is like her husband works in Silicon Valley, right? And he understands this lifestyle and this, that, and the other. So guess what? Like that's part of her biography and storytelling now.
Yeah.
Or something else that makes them feel safe is that, in her free time, she volunteers at like the Google Incubator Hub to
Mm,
support, like new little female entrepreneurs, like young girls,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and does that a few times a year, even though that might be only 3, 5 hours of her year, and she's spending all of her other time doing X, Y, and Z. I don't know, playing cello or whatever the heck it is. Like that
Right.
doesn't make her ideal client feel safe.
Yeah.
So we look at the pot of like, what do you have? Who are you looking to attract? Is it authentic and true to you? Right? Is it worth mentioning?
Yeah. It's reminding me of like 10 years ago, I worked um in the leasing office at an apartment building,
Mm,
and where I always found that I really grabbed people and got the lease
yeah,
was when they learned that I lived 2 blocks from the building.
100%.
And it was like I used it all the time. I mean, it was true, but it was also like, this is
Totally.
my neighborhood and I
I
this
feel
and I
safe
that.
here.
And
Yeah,
it's
I
totally like what you're
chose to live
saying.
here.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they're buying you in the luxury market. So if we go back to if you're trying to sell
And it,
5,000
yeah,
e-design
right.
projects a year, they're less buying you. It's low ticket, right? So there's not as much of an emotional investment. Once again, that is a different camp. You can make
Mhm.
great money there. That's not the market that I'm in.
Yeah. Do you think that if there was something that would, like I was thinking about the Google incubator example
Mhm,
where
mhm,
she's
mhm.
only doing it maybe 3 to 5 hours a year or whatever, is it okay to maybe find something like that and start doing it if it's not already in your pot to add that value? Or do we really want it to be something that is already inherently inauthentic that we're already doing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's kind of like a twofold answer here. I mean, ideally with my clients, we're in a position where their ideal clients are truly them,
Okay.
right? Like that
Mhm.
they would be friends with them. These are the
Right.
type of people like they share common interests, they do common things. That's what makes like the easiest sale and the best possible relationship.
Okay.
Now, if you're trying to break into a new market and network in new arenas, do I think that it's wrong to be part of a new network that might be, supporting where you want to be? No, but the ideal scenario is that we're trying to attract people that you would want to spend time with
Okay.
in your free time. Like truly, like my clients are my very, very best friends. One
Yeah.
of my clients introduced me to my husband. I go abroad with them,
Yeah.
right, for vacations. Like they're truly my best friends.
Yeah.
So the things that I'm mentioning that I'm interested in or I do is things that they're interested in as
Mhm.
well. And that's not always going to be the case. But this client, like, I mean, she's already in this tech community because of her husband. Her
Right.
daughter's involved in STEM programs. This is something that she deeply believes in.
Mhm.
For me, that would be really, really tricky to market myself like in the STEM community because number one, I don't feel confident and equipped there.
Right.
Number two, it's out of alignment with my brand, right? So we always want to feel authentic and in alignment. But if it means that you need to do some research and explore some things, by all means, sister, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about how there are often times where I feel this in many different aspects, but relating it to this, like I I do sometimes feel like what where I want to be versus like what my reality is are so different
Mm,
that what's coming to mind is almost like like when you hear people say like like
hmm
act as if you're already there. What would that person do? What would this person dress like, walk like, talk like? And
hmm
I think it's hard because sometimes I really am like, it's like, what is me? Like, what is the
mm,
real me? And like, what do I really want? And without continuing to ramble too much, it's like,
no, no.
I guess I find it, I guess what I'm saying is in like these early stages for me of like what everything I'm doing, just use myself as the easiest
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
I'm not where I want to be. And I don't know that I have the full bandwidth to like be that person right now, but it's like still there. It's like still do you know what I'm
hmm
saying? Like, I don't
It
know.
totally does.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think like stepping into a new version of self,
Yeah.
right? Like that takes time. And
Yeah.
I'm just like going to go back and like talk about just even like projects, right? Like,
Right.
or stepping into a new market. So my clients come to me saying, "Hey, I want, $500,000 furnishing spend. I want a $500,000 wedding. I want celebrities to photograph, whatever it is." And I'm like, "That is awesome. I love this." But it's not like going to happen in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
something
I hear
that
you.
we do is we create guardrails around
Yeah.
them, because in order to step into more things you want to say yes to, you have to say no to some current things,
Mm,
right? So the guardrails are like, hey, in the next 6 months, let's think about, really doing X, Y, and Z and saying no to blah, blah, blah. In the next 8 months, it's going to look like this. We're going to step a little bit closer. I'm like looking at it. I'm like showing you, like, right? It's like I
yeah.
have like these, like, picture like 5 hula hoops around you, getting tighter and
Right.
tighter and tighter to the
Mm-hmm.
person that you want to be, the people you want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And that is should forever be changing and evolving, because isn't that like the most beautiful thing about, being a female entrepreneur? Like your ability to like connect and form relationships and grow and to like build something from nothing. Like you should be constantly evolving and
Yeah.
changing. And guess what? I'm sure in 5 years I'll be offering a different package or a different service or whatever it is. Like that
Right.
should be part of this journey for all of us.
Yeah. I like the guardrails thing.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, and I think to your point, initially going all the way back of actually taking the time to reflect on it, if I
Yeah.
really think about it, I've I've naturally done that to some extent without
Mm,
realizing it. The
yeah.
things that I say yes to or no to, or even the things that I offer myself up for are
Mm.
different. Um, and that's been a pretty organic process without realizing it. And so I think
That's really beautiful. Yeah,
I
it's like you
yeah,
have an innate ability to like recognize like your energy of like what is costing you energy versus what's charging you up.
yeah,
And then I feel that for me, I feel like I naturally and organically will say yes or no to things, but like I need the paper, my friend. I need the
yeah.
paper for
No,
me. That's
yeah,
just me. And I'll say like, okay, this is like back in the day. I haven't done this in a while, but maybe I should. Honestly, this is inspiring me in this combo to write down like what's like the yes energies. Like where do I feel good? Where do I feel inspired? Where do I feel like I'm contributed? And then like where's the no's?
yeah,
Right? Like for me, like going to a networking event at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday with like, various people in the like various industries. Like, there's CPAs in this room, there's a realtor in this room. Like that exhausts me. I want
yeah,
nothing to do with it. Like
yeah,
I want to hang out with your mom at Lou Live in a few weeks. Like that lights me up with like
yeah,
women I love, right? But it's like in order to like show up to something fully like that and
yeah,
prepare the presentation, do all the things and be on site, you had to say no to the others.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it's
and
doing like a
yeah.
self audit, I feel
No,
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's such a critical part of it because what happens is even though I can see how I have organically done it over time, if I'm not giving myself the credit for it without a conversation like this, or perhaps I need to like get some journaling down because that's a really critical component, at least for me, is giving myself the credit and the acknowledgement that I've done it. Otherwise, I sit in the negative. Like I sit
Yeah.
in I dwell on what I haven't done yet
Mm.
versus like taking the time to write out or talk out what I actually have done and be like, "Whoa, good for you."
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
love that. I'm the type of person, this sounds probably crazy, but I don't know, maybe someone listening can relate, where I do something and then I write it on my checklist so I could cross it off. Like the activity is already done.
I'm the same. I do
You
the
are?
same thing.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I went to the dry cleaner. I'll like write it out and then cross it off. Like send X, Y, and Z
Too.
proposal. Like I already did that. But it
Do that
feels good
too.
to feel accomplished, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think
Right?
yeah, and I think, it's reminding me I'm 95% certain it was Amber de la Garza said, that she especially, like, when you work for yourself, it can be hard to, like, find those moments of, like,
Mm.
accolades and things, and she was like, "I just started giving myself Employee of the Month and celebrating."
I love that. That's cute. I
That's the
love that.
best idea ever.
That's so funny. This is like funny. I was just kind of like messing with my chiropractor the other day. He was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm working like a dog this week or whatever." And he was like, "Rough time, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, my boss can be a real bitch sometimes." And he was like, "I am so sorry." I was like, "I know." Yeah, I'm the boss. I
Yeah.
created the calendar. No, it's just like a funny thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure it
We
out. I
are
love
like,
this Amber. I don't know her, but I feel like her and I would get along.
yeah, yeah. It was the first time I obviously I've heard of her 1,000 times.
Mhm.
But it was the first time I spoke with her one on one, and I was just like, "That's
That's funny.
amazing." And she's like, "Oh, you have little kids?" She's like, "Make them a part of it. Like, go get a cake to celebrate."
Cute.
She's like,
It's
"Go to the
really
park,
cute.
celebrate." I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"This is a great idea."
yeah,
'Cause I'm the
yeah.
same. I'm the person I'm looking up. I still have, like, I haven't worked for that company in, like, a decade, and I still have, like, my employee of the month, like, awards up because
Mm,
I, like, look at them and I'm like, "Yeah, see, you do things."
yeah, you do
Like,
things.
you're good at things.
You know, this is like making me think when I transitioned from the previous camp, right? Lots of clients, lower ticket sort of thing to this other camp. I
Mhm.
remember feeling like I had all of the accomplishments, right? Like hitting sales goals, like getting the press, booking X, Y, and Z rates or whatever it was. And I kept like hitting them, but I didn't feel good at
Mm,
all. I actually felt burnt out.
yeah,
And I think when I like sat down and realized that, I was like, I'm hitting everything that like I wanted to hit, I tried to hit, I dreamed of hitting, and I still don't feel good. Like
yeah.
there's something missing here. Like I'm in the wrong market. Like I'm hanging
Red
out with the
flags.
wrong place.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And like that, those pieces for me burnt me out, or someone else it may energize. And I think that there's something to be said of like people get in business to do what they love and create a life that they love, then it feels in alignment. So like doing that audit and doing that pulse check is so important, and it can change, and giving yourself permission. Your business model can change. Your services can change. You can get
yeah.
out of service-based business. If you want to go sell wallpaper, by all means, my friend,
Right.
right? But doing that audit of self.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just in the last minute or so here, I'm curious, doing that audit and realizing perhaps that you're lacking that in your case, like, lacking that passion, lacking that fulfillment out of, like, hitting all the marks, right? Like, so burned out.
Mhm.
I think that that's a hard enough step, right? The self-awareness and the acknowledgement, um, but actually taking the next step of, like, actually taking action to change it, I think in my experience is, like, where I find a lot of people get, like, tripped up because this is where
Yeah.
you have people that are in careers their whole lives and aren't happy their whole lives because actually taking the action is challenging. Like, any advice for going from, "Hey, I've acknowledged this," to now I actually have to do something about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I had more of like a balanced piece of advice, but I don't. How about maybe like don't do what I did, which is like I burnt myself to the ground.
Mm,
I was so exhausted and I was so depleted. We did so many beautiful things, right? But like at the end, I left feeling like, oh, this is too much. I sold the company, this, that, and the other, because I had to do something different,
it was like,
right?
burn it
I was
down and
missing a
rebuild.
huge piece of me, which was like I feeling really inspired and feeling really connected. Like I was missing all of that. I was the
Mm.
manager of so many people. I'm not a manager. I'm not a manager, right? So anyway, I unfortunately got myself incredibly burnt out where we were working with thousands of people a year, right? At a team training people, that I had to transition.
Yeah, like, you
Don't
had
do
no
that.
choice.
I had no choice.
Yeah,
But I do have to say, like in that, like, having to like look around and reevaluate everything, I was beyond intentional of what did I want the next steps to look like. Like
okay.
so much so, like I am so obsessed with my work. Like I like get giddy in the morning to like do my thing. Like truly. And I know that sounds probably like annoying to some people, but like I was where you were. I'm obsessed with my clients. Like I love the stuff I do.
Mhm.
Um, but that was all intentionally designed
Yeah,
this next stage around, with having the experience of being out of alignment with self to help get me there.
yeah. Well, I think that that's a really important point to highlight too, that, and I encounter this a lot with the creators, like the content creators that I talk to. I think there's still this perception that it's like, "Oh, like, so lucky you get to just make videos all day about your life and make money from it. And oh, good for you. Oh, so lucky. Like, I think there is still this like a little bit of like stigma and like misunderstanding. And so I really love your point about like, yes, you're doing exactly what you want to do and you love it and you're giddy about it, but you did it. Like, you made it, you created it, you thought about
Yeah.
it, you put the work in, you demanded a level of
Self-discipline, right?
discipline, thank you, for yourself to just
Yeah.
to actually make it happen, like, didn't let yourself off the hook, didn't settle,
Yeah.
and that's not easy to do. Like, it's
No.
hard to keep holding yourself accountable day in and day out, and so, while it sounds like I totally hear what you're saying, like, some people might hear it and be annoyed by it, it's like, but don't get it twisted. It was still work,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know?
gosh, you guys.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, like I literally when I first started my first company, I lived in a house and I rented a room, just to be clear. And it was $340 a month. I spent
wow.
$18 a month on groceries, or not a month, $18 a week on groceries. I
Yeah.
got huge things of yogurt. I ate so many eggs. I hate eggs now. People talk about like ramen, like their ramen story. All I ate was eggs. I would pick up free granola bars from the library. That's what I'd have for lunch with an apple. That
God.
was free, so I like got that meal out. But like
Oh my
my
god,
point
yeah.
is though,
Right.
like yeah, I think that a lot of people look at people and they're like, wow, that's so beautiful. I wish I could have done that. And I was like,
Right.
you, my friend, you could have done that, but it
Yeah.
takes a lot of self-discipline
Yeah.
to try to figure it out. And I think we're all still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it like we've said 1,000 times, there's constant evolution, and
Constant. Yeah.
you might not be back at a point where you're eating eggs and free granola bars, but you still have your ups and downs and your challenges. And
Totally. Yeah.
yes,
And I think that
yes.
there's something to be said about wherever you're at that, and I used to have this as the background of my phone back in the day.
Mm,
Keep going. You're getting there. That was
yeah.
my background for like 3 years
Yeah.
on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Rachel, is there anything kind of lingering on your heart, mind, or soul based on this conversation that you want to make sure to leave people with, or anything you wish I would have asked you in relation to anything we talked about that I didn't think to?
I don't think so. I think that this conversation actually inspired me to do another audit on a few things. So I'm going to do that. And if that felt in alignment to anyone, I think it'd be fun to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of notes for myself to do the same. We're coming up on the end of the year, so this is
Yeah,
a great
totally.
time to really get into it. So, thank you so much for your time. I'm so
Thank
looking forward
you.
to seeing you in person in a few
Yes, I
weeks.
can't wait. Few weeks. Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so you already know I'm obsessed with this woman, but oh my gosh, what a episode. I want to start right off the bat by reminding us all that luxury means different things in different industries and to different people. So if you're hearing luxury, 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 like, guess what? You can decide what luxury means for you. And you know, Rachel talks about helping her clients be in the top 3% of their industry or their niche. And that's going to look a little different for content creators than other types of business owners, or different within your niche or specialty as a creator. But that 3% goal is something we can all visualize and understand. And, if you want more on that, reach out to her, look at her programs, see if it's something she can help you with. Talk to her a little bit about what you do and how you do it. And one of her programs to coach with her might be perfect for you. So, something that she emphasized that really resonated with me is this idea of constantly reevaluating our dreams and our goals, especially in our businesses and our content. I can really I can really resonate with that right now. What my goals were when my kids were much younger was completely different than now when I have them in school a little bit more often. And as much as it pains me to say, I know that this is going to be a constant evolution, and I'm going to have to keep checking in with this. We talked about this on the last episode with Kelly Vincent, just that constant check-in and self-awareness. And it can be hard to do. We want to keep building and working on whatever it is that we've started, and it might feel scary or even like we're failing to admit that we want to change and pivot or want something new. But as creatives, we've likely already made this big change. We've left our other jobs, or we've left the idea of a traditional career, or we've slowly started incorporating a different type of content, testing the waters, and so we just have to lean in and own it. Rachael shared so many great practical ways to approach the idea of scaling up to luxury, focusing on the top 3% and relationships, and making sure you are putting your genuine self out there, authentic. Like, these are the things at the top of those strategies. It's a really beautiful concept, and it's a valuable way to center how you create, how you approach your platform, and how you work on your messaging and branding. You want your audience to feel safe with you, to know that they can trust you and that you are a genuine human being behind this account. And in sharing our genuine selves, I don't want to leave today without really emphasizing what Rachael mentioned about being kind to yourself, acknowledging your wins, and valuing how far you've come. It is so easy to criticize ourselves for what we haven't yet accomplished. But every single one of us has so much to be proud of, and it's important that we give ourselves credit rather than judgment. In putting ourselves out there, truly, every day, on our platforms, it's really courageous. And for that alone, you should be applauding yourself, okay? I'm applauding you. Keep going. I'm happy you're here. So, Rachael, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to have you back, if for no other reason than just selfishly I want to talk to you again. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. To learn more about me, my world, all the things going on, head over to christierocha.com. Bye.